That's her done, base coated and washed. Now let's move on to the Prophet. Just double checking his name there. And for the Prophet we're going to be using Kisler flesh for his skin. Again, there's not much of it. That's the skin colour we're going to be using, Kisler flesh. And again, dilute paint. I'm trying to work out whether this Prophet is male or female. Very feminine features on this character, but the clothing makes it kind of indistinct. Another long, and I'm assuming it's supposed to be her. Doesn't actually help, because let's face it, I used to have long hair myself at one time. There we go. And for this we're going to just give a wash of Carolburg Crimson all over the rest of her. Him, her, him, her, him, her, him, her, him, her, him, her, him, her. I know it shows green on the whatchamacallit on the character card, but I plummeted for red. And as you can see, I'm avoiding the arms because it looks as though there's some form of like armour. Okay laddie, it's the postman. Okay laddie, it's the postman. Hey. Laddie, enough. Laddie. Okay. Calm down, sunshine. Good boy. And I just decided to try doing this because there's a lot of folds in this character, and to give it a more of an ethereal effect to it, I thought just washes, that might work wonders. So I'll do that. See, I told you it was a postman laddie. And there we go. So there is Carolburg Crimson wash done on there. What we want to do now is carry on with the wash and we'll use Nuln oil. As I say, some of this looks as though it's like an armoured effect, so I'm just going to go over that with null oil. Like so. And do that. I'll also put a bit on the hair as well. In fact, what I'm going to have to do first of all is I'm not going to put any on the hair because I just realised that the back of this is also looks as though it's armoured and would need this kind of treatment. So I'm going to do the hair in a completely different way, and that's that done. I just need to go back into the Caribou Crimson and I can find it, as there is this part along the top here that needs just touching up with that. Right, so once it's dry we can come back and add another layer of wash to it. I think the hair is going to be a brownish colour, so when we've got some Rhinox hide on our palette, let's just go over with that. It's going on as a wash. Right, so we will pick out detail a little bit later when he or she dries. And next, what we also want to do, Reichland Flesh Shade once again over. Oops, just realised there's bits of this hair that we've not done yet, so let's just make sure that's done. Why is it not coming on my brush? That's better. Okay, so that's that bit done. I say, let's now Reikland flesh shade onto, surprisingly enough, the flesh. Very ethereal looking character. So let's make it so. There we are, those two figures base coated and washed. So what we're going to do, well, first off we're going to be highlighting the well, I'm going to be highlighting everything from the gun. So we're going to start off with the skin. Now the skin that we used for this was the rat skin flesh. Now we don't want to use such a dark colour, so we're going to mix some of that in with the same colour we used for the flesh for the Prophet, which was Kislev flesh, just to brighten it up a little bit, not all that much. And we're just going to add touches here and there, under the eyes and her cheekbones there, and her nose, her chin, and her cheekbone here. And there we are. That's on the face. And now for hands, we're going to be going like so. And along her finger here. Here. And I'll do the tips of her fingers as well. And for this hand, it's quite simply the top of the finger there, well, thumb actually, top of the finger there, and just brighten up. And as always, going along the top edge of the skin. There we are. Next, what we're going to be using is the Death World Forest. We'll add some of that. Which one is that, the Death World Orange? Oh, that Death World Forest. I think so. I'm going to use this colour. There we go. And the idea is just to go over where the, I say this every time I'm doing some highlighting, we're going over where the light is going to hit, as well as the creases where there's folds, just to show the detail. There we go. And we're using a very dilute paint. And so we're just going where we think the paint is going to hit. There we are. And we have a lot of, it's only a 28mm model, but there's a lot of area to cover, as you may have noticed. And we just keep going and going with it, just moving the paint around, making sure that the brighter areas are the ones that's going to get this paint, and everywhere else is staying fairly the same as it was before we started highlighting. And there we go. So always on where we think the paint is going to go, or where the light is going to hit. And a little bit around some details, just to bring out the detail. There we are. So not a great deal of difference, but it's different enough for it to be seen. Yeah. And that's the coats. Next, what we have is the trousers, which are the Blade Brown. There's not going to be much of these to be highlighted, but we are going to be going around some of the details just to pick them out. just like so. It just breaks up the solid colour, that's the reason we do this. It makes it stops it looking flat. Oh yeah. I'm going to go over the top of the belt. I'll go over certain parts of the bottom belt as well. There we are. And finally the boots. Well, these, as we said, are just plain non-fancy boots, so we'll just do a few bits along the top. In fact, I'm going to add some brown to the flesh mix that we used for her skin. It's the rhino side, remember. And as I said, this is just for going over the upper areas. On the top edge and her toes. Like so. And just like that. Now we'll have a look at the back where there's a little crease that runs down the length of it, so we'll just use the side of the brush to go over that crease, as well as the top edge. There we are. I'll also use this colour on the holster for her sidearm. There we are. And for the what do we call it? The straps that attach it to the doodah, thingamabob, the whatchamacallit, the little belt. Now what I would like to look for is, if I can find it, our old friend Screaming Skull. Now with this I'm going to be using very sparingly, very dry brush, and we're just going to waft over the top part of her hair. Just like so. And if you think that looks a bit bright, stay tuned, because we're going to be doing something a little more with this a little bit later. But now what I want to do is, using iron breaker, which is this one, a similar kind of thing, but this time instead of on the hair this will be dry brushed onto all the weapons that she has. Starting with the gun, and again, if this looks a little bit bright, don't worry about it, because it's going to be adjusted again a little bit later. But we just need to watch what we're doing as well when we're doing this, because we don't want to get any of this colour on the rest of the model. So that's the gun sorted, and now it's the turn of the the strap for the gun. And for that we're going to be mixing some of the Abaddon black. We haven't got any left. I just need a little bit on the palette, so I'll be mixing some of that in with the Baneblade brown, just to grey it quite a bit, and the grey from this will go along the top edge of the strap. In fact, we may need a little bit more, and that's just like so. And I do actually want this black to look black, so I'm just going to go over the bottom of this again, just to make sure there is no metallic colour there. One thing I have missed with the metallic colour is her goggles, but I'll use a little bit of the black and the what do we call it? The black and the Baneblade brown. And do that with it. Just before I add some of the ironbreaker to the top edges. Just like so. And now I'm going to add just a little bit of, well, just a tiny spot of white to the lens. Assuming, of course, I can keep my hand steady enough and a point on the brush sharp enough to do it. A little bit of water on the brush might help. second you'll see what I'm going to be doing. Next